Welcome to my movie. This is about a house that we rented for 6 months in November 1996. It was a new house. Well, it was less than 10 years old, and it had been occupied by an elderly couple who'd passed away, and therefore it became a probate issue, and the family rented it out for a period. So we took it up. The house itself was very nice. It was a high quality build, and we felt quite safe and comfortable in taking up residency there. It wasn't until we moved in that we immediately found lots of activity that we couldn't identify, such as walking around footsteps upstairs, heavy walking over the passageway, banging of the doors, particularly the centre bedroom door, and we wondered what this might be, but we got used to it. In fact, we got so used to it over the first week that we began to ignore it. Then the strange happenings happened on the Monday morning of the second week, where we were surprised to find something very unusual on the window of the lounge. Monday, 4th of November 1996. The circle in the window. Monday, 4th of November 1996. We'd been in the house for a week. It was a rental property. The previous occupants had passed away, so the family put it on rent for a month. So for the first week we'd heard lots and lots of walking up and down passageways upstairs, doors banging. It was a very uncomfortable place to be at that time, full of unknowns. And on the Monday morning we opened up the curtains to find a perfect circle of condensation. You can see on the video now, it took me 2 or 3 minutes to find my video camera and set it working, so the circle had started to dissipate, but it was an absolutely perfect circle on what's otherwise a clear window. To my mind, there was no reason for this. We couldn't see anything inside the circle until we looked back on the video with our video recorder, and we found images typical of, for example, this lady who was looking out towards the left. There were other images which I might help you a little with by drawing a sort of example of what I see on the screen. It might help you to see it. For example, these staring eyes. It could be a man's face. It's up to you to decide whether you do see that. But I can see it, and that's the sort of thing that I see. It superimposes over the lady. I also see a dog here. I see his front paws and rear paws and his head. He looks like a little spaniel to me. So maybe you can see that also. I'll draw a little graphic on there for you to show you exactly where I'm looking at. It was about there. So you may well see it. You may not see it. You may not see anything at all. But once you do see it, you focus in and you can see exactly where it is. So there are 3 images in the circle: the dog, the man, the staring man, but most of all the overriding picture, and it's like a photograph, is of the angel in the middle. If you look at her face up there above the eyes of the man, you'll see her long hair and her dark features and her facial features, and she's wearing a long white gown. So we've all seen human drawings and images depicting a real-life angel, but to my mind this is the first ever photograph image of an actual angel. Since we'd moved into the house about a week ago, we'd had nothing but strange happenings, walking across the floor at night, up and down the corridor, the centre door of the bedroom opening and closing, often with a bang, and the temperature in that room being freezing cold. So we were fairly uncomfortable with the house. And then on Monday morning, on the 4th of November 1996, we opened the patio curtains to find a completely clear window, apart from a absolute perfect circle of condensation about 2 feet wide. So it was so unusual that I videoed it with my video camera, and it wasn't until looking back on the film that I discovered that there were certain images available within that circle. The most amazing image was of a lady, which you'll see up there. It's untouched. It's exactly as it appears in the circle. I believe it's an angel, and she is looking towards the left, staring, and I've no idea why she should be doing this, but she's appeared in it. She's a very recognizable person, long blonde hair with dark features, and she's fairly prominent. She's wearing a long white gown, and it's as if she's in the woods and she's staring out. It looks to me a very angelic type of person. I think this is actually the image, the very first image I can ever remember of seeing an actual spiritual angel. So it's a very important image to me, and as events would turn out during that week, a very significant one. There were unknown dangers ahead of us over the next few days, and we were being warned, although we didn't know it at the time, but we do now. So if you look at the circle, you'll see a fairly prominent image of a pair of eyes staring away towards the left. If you concentrate on those eyes and look at the area around it, after a few seconds you will see the face of a man. He looks in danger. He looks as if he's worried about something. His eyes have a sense of panic about them, and you'll see his head, and you also see the part of his beard, although the beard has dropped somewhat as the circle has dissipated. And this perilous look in his eyes really gets me. It's as if he's saying, get out, you know, alarm, danger. It's something that leaves me feeling rather worried. Wednesday, 6th of November 1996. The hole on the car windscreen. It's Wednesday, the 6th of November 1996. I had to go to a meeting in London, so I went out in the morning to prepare the car. Everything was frozen. The house, the locks on the cars, the windows, the ground. It was a sub-zero, -4, -5 degree morning. So I had a great shock when I looked at the windscreen of the car, and as with the lounge window 2 days before, there was a perfect circle of condensation on the frozen windscreen of the car. Identical, really, to the circle on the window in the house. I was amazed. I went back indoors and got my video camera, came out and videoed it for you. By the time I got out, it was starting to show visible signs of breaking up. It was frozen solid that morning. The windscreen was frozen, but it was warm and wet inside the circle. It defies logic. It fits in with what happened on Monday morning, and it certainly adds to the mystery of what was about to happen to us 2 days from then. It was going to be, I think, another warning sign of impending disaster. Friday, 8th of November 1996. The destruction of the house. This is November the 8th, 1996. We've had quite a week with the Monday morning starting with strange circles of condensation on the window of the lounge, and then on Wednesday the 6th we've had a strange circle of condensation on the frozen windscreen of the car, and this is Friday the 8th of November, and we have the house that has completely cracked from ceiling to floor across both stories of the house. The house is 10 years old, it's a modern construction, and it's on in a nice cul-de-sac made by reputable manufacturers. The house is cracked from behind the coving along where the walls are connected to the ceiling, and also from the ceiling down to the floor, and all around the door frames. The door frames have come separated from the wall, and the wall has moved. This is downstairs. You can see the cracks have moved down from upstairs across the ceiling, first floor, the ground floor ceiling, and cracking along the coving, separating the coving from the wall where the house has moved. You see the supporting beam area has moved, and the plastering has come away and completely cracked. This is the kitchen. It's cracked down through, right down the window, cracked down by the window, separated the window from the wall, cracked through the tiles of the kitchen, separated the window ledge from the wall, and cracked right the way along the work surfaces. So if we move the rack of china, you'll see behind there that the kitchen has actually stayed where it is because it's nailed and screwed together, but the house has moved away from the kitchen. So I have no idea what could have caused this. It's extensive and severe. Is it subsidence? It must be subsidence. We have no idea what could have caused it, as the house is so new. Although earth can shift, we do understand that. Is there a significance with the circle on the window and the circle on the car? Was that a warning from wherever that there's a hole underneath the house? You see all the wood beams are separated from the wall. I believe this house is in danger, a serious danger of falling down, so we're going to have to get out of it now. This is the largest crack. This is from the bedroom where all the funny footsteps and banging of the doors happened from upstairs. My thoughts on subsidence, usually if subsidence happens in one particular area, it affects a house in one particular spot. But in this case, it seems to be right the way across the house. So how big is the subsiding area underneath the ground if it's going to cause this kind of damage? It's beyond me. As far as subsidence is concerned, my thoughts on subsidence are that it would happen in one area and it would be a very, very minor slippage normally, and it might affect one edge of a house or a corner or one wall. But in this case, the house is substantially moved. 3/4 of the house has actually cracked up. So from the foundations, there must have been something like an earthquake, although we slept that night and we felt nothing. So it surprises me that this kind of level of damage can occur overnight from one incident. As you can see on the graphic, it runs from one corner of the house over beyond the centre of the house, where every room has cracks running down the walls, plaster moved and away from the fixtures and fittings, and the kitchen being in particular the worst area. I would say maybe that's where the epicenter of the problem happened. So I don't know. It's a complete mystery to me how this can have happened. I think it's connected with the two holes or the two circles. I think they were a warning for us to get out, which we have to do now. So, what caused that disaster? Who knows? The technical people will have their explanation for it. I have my thoughts, and you have your thoughts. Monday started with the image on the window, and looking at the image, we saw a lady and also a man and possibly a small dog. The lady, I feel, is very profound, and I believe it is an angel. I also believe that the man and the angel were warning us of impending danger. Wednesday morning we had the circle of condensation on the car windscreen. Again, I believe it was a sign. It was a sign of what was about to happen to us on Thursday night, come Friday morning. And then Friday morning we have the accumulation of the events and the destruction of the house that we were living in. I feel we were very fortunate to get out of that house without injury, as whatever happened to the house happened during our sleep. It just seems so extreme that how could we have slept through whatever happened? It is a complete mystery, and maybe people much cleverer than I will be able to tell me what the reasons were. And so this is the image of my guardian angel, the angel from the circle on the window. I haven't touched up the image at all. It's simply how I'd like to see her in a spiritual setting. She came to me to tell me that there was a problem. She is my protectorate. We all have guardian angels. All we need to do is to communicate with them and be close to them and trust them. Particularly in times of need, where maybe you feel alone, or maybe you just need some comfort of some kind, then reach out and they are there